Hello, Commander, and welcome back to Maia XM. I am Commander Felix Jefferson, and with me today is...
I'm Commander Stephanie Atronach.
And I'm Commander Congruent Crib.
It's going to be a pretty packed show today because of all these interviews that just came out a couple weeks ago with some of the heads in the factions, or admirals, I should say.
After Salvation, which was I'm a little conflicted about. I mean, I'm happy that we found something that can easily repel Thargoids from populated space, but...
Yeah, which I just want to say right now that we predicted that. It was
that's a little suspicious. I'm just saying.
We were literally talking about it. We were talking about how all the major powers should work together again, how it kind of sucks that Aegis was taken down because that was what they were doing. And then they all worked together to, help with Salvation, help Salvation keep that ship in the sky until it worked. Which
we are definitely not related in any way.
No, we definitely are. So you can say thank you, and we'll give you our link, our email link on the Galnet if you want to send donations.
Yeah, we're just so good at this.
Yeah.
We know the news.
We are the ones that did everything. So yeah.
Anyway, now that we're just patting ourselves on the back,
need more credits.
Yeah. So I'm glad, in a sense, that they all work together. I'm glad we have something that repels and destroys Thargoids. I'm a little suspicious about the Salvation character. Seems to have a savior complex, I guess.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those, look at me.
I mean, even in the name alone.
Yeah, naming yourself Salvation is just kind of egotistical and kind of concerning. But, I guess we all gotta have some sort of alias.
Yeah, but I mean, like, his group that he contracts for building his weapons, the Taurus Mining Ventures, right? There's a lot of people thinking that maybe the Salvation character used to be involved with Aegis, and that's how come he knows so much about destroying Thargoids and has some good in-depth research on Thargoids to be able to make this kind of a weapon, or at least contract this kind of a weapon. But then, Taurus Mining Ventures was attacked by rogue Aegis forces. People are thinking maybe this guy's rogue. I'm wondering, reading about this kind of stuff, if Aegis was ever really a good group of people working together at that point, because it seems like at this point there's a lot of infighting being revealed.
Yeah, I don't think it was, because you remember when we were last actually reporting on the news and whatnot, Aegis was just kind of starting up, and they were still sort of operating outside of the government and doing things shadily with cover-ups and whatnot, and they were sort of like the big driving force to kind of investigate Thargoids and whatnot, besides the big powers, of course. But there was always that weird sort of I don't know, something didn't add up with them. Yeah. At least in my book.
Well, and then, I mean, at that time too, the Thargoids were a thing, but people weren't quite yet as worried about them. They were more curious.
Right.
Now people are more worried than curious.
I do find it strange that they both kind of just showed up in the news, both at the same time.
I will say Aegis was around for a while before
but
Salvation.
They didn't have any major. They weren't in the news all the time. They weren't very noteworthy.
They were back in the day, but not for a little while.
Yeah, I think they were sort of founded or developed in direct response to the first Thargoids,
and they were developed by the major powers. It was a joint initiative.
So obviously they've been a thing, but as soon as the Adamastor and all that came along, then all of a sudden they blew up and they were all over the news, and then that's when we get Salvation, which makes me feel like the two are tied in a sense that maybe the Salvation person is maybe a deflector of Aegis, and I don't know how I feel about that, because maybe Aegis was good, maybe Aegis was bad. and that would explain why they kind of had some beef with each other. I mean, they definitely did not get along. So I do feel a little concerned that our, person that we have here, using this name, I feel like they might think that they're better than everyone else and that they are above everything. Because
some of their messages definitely reflect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like they might have gotten their hands on some documents and some information and have taken it, and now we're using that because they can, and I kind of am concerned on what they have completely. I mean, they have a super weapon that just did this, and it's just one of those, where'd that come from?
I think also it's a little bit about how they were formed and the purposes behind it. So if you look at Aegis, right, it was kind of formed in a bit of a scramble as the Thargoids started coming into the public eye. It was initially kind of like sponsored by the three major powers, but it was led by Professor Trousseau, and it was primarily about research. So like it wasn't just how do we combat the Thargoids? It was, what's the, how do we communicate with Thargoids? Where are they coming from? How do they travel through which space so differently? How do they pull us out of which space? And,
And I think that that's maybe one of the main reasons that Salvation deflected so much, because they seem to take on a much more aggressive, more war, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's a single person, too. It's not got a hierarchy to dig through to figure out, to make decisions. It's just one person who seems to have a lot of money and power, just being like, I'm going to go just find these things and kill them. You know?
I know in the recent interviews that they even were talking about things with how they're not here to hold and occupy the Thargoids. They're here to defeat them, and it's kind of one of those... originally we were here just to learn, and now we're just attacking them. We still don't understand them, and I think the best way to defend ourselves is to learn about our enemies before we get rid of them, because if you just get rid of them, we will lose all that available technology that they have.
Well, if you look at it too, with Aegis, doing, like, when the Thargoids first came around too, they weren't hostile right away. They did pull people out, but they just kind of scanned them and left, and when they did become hostile, Aegis was always kind of scrambling to catch up after that. Salvation is just straight on the job. He goes, Thargoids are hostile, I don't want them here, I'm gonna kill them, and that's about it, which is another reason why it's a single person, right? People are saying it's a single person or potentially a leader of a small group of people. But if Aegis, with all of their money and resources, couldn't make a super weapon sufficient enough to repel, like as big as, Salvation's super weapon just repels and destroys Thargoids in an entire system. But most we got out of Aegis was some Xeno, weapons to attach to our own ships. Nothing crazy, and a scanner to be able to help figure out where to shoot them. Nothing on that scale. And I wonder what kind of funding they have, Where are they getting this money from to build this stuff and contract, this company?
Yeah, because the corporation itself, their main system doesn't even have a very high population, so it seems that there's got to be something else going on in the background.
Yeah, really the only thing they've done is make a super weapon, so it's kind of weird that they're a mining venture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Seems like a bit of a cover-up.
Exactly, yeah, the Taurus Mining Company, which is, I think it's just kind of odd that they're tied to that. I don't know. I don't see how a mining company makes a super weapon. I could understand maybe a small time weapon, something not that big, but this you got something that just kind of goes out. It's just done.
If it was Sirius Corporation, that would be different. But this is like a little tiny mining operation way out somewhere. Like, there's no way.
So yeah, and with like Sirius Corp, I know that they were helping fight back and all that, and while it didn't go well, they definitely want to be there to help out. We don't really know what their exact motives are, as we know.
Have they been helping out with this particular project though? Because I noticed a lot of alliance and a lot of Federation, a lot of Imperial support, but I haven't heard anything about Sirius Corp with this.
They've offered to help out in many ways. They've done some stuff, like I mentioned last time, the weird ammonia world terraforming that kind of was like, maybe not really what they were saying. They've offered, fighters to help out, and they've kind of just wanted to be the main source and the main circle to everything going on right now, which I don't.
Well, the thing about Sirius Corp is, they're a corporation first and foremost, so anything they do has a price tag to it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and that's the way that he likes to operate. He likes to operate through the wallet. He likes to operate with money, and you can buy anything.
Yeah, so, regardless of the other powers, specifically the Alliance, the Empire, and the Federation, they may all have slightly different definitions of what exactly it is that they're going for, but in the end, they do, want to protect the people from the Thargoids. They want to protect their citizens. They want to protect their leaders. They want to protect their homeworlds and stuff like that, where Sirius Corp just kind of wants to make $1.
Exactly, and while I am a big fan of Sirius Corp, I think they're really good. I do think that maybe we need to watch their motives, because saving people costs money, and that's not how corporations work. They are more looking to make money, not to spend money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now they might be willing to put in $1 to get $1 back, because, if they can get us to trust them and all that, and we put them at the center screen, they're going to be able to easily monopolize many things, especially like money-wise.
Yeah, you're talking about Sirius Corp. That's definitely something we got to keep an eye on. It seems like we got to keep an eye on everybody these days, looking at Sirius, looking at Pilots Federation, looking at Salvation, and then, where all this money's coming from is always a serious question to find out, and no pun intended.
Serious.
To find out who's going for what, because you've also got some very wealthy people who have their eyes on certain positions of power, like a Zachary Rackham, for instance. He's got a lot of money. He could, fund a super weapon if he really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe,
yeah,
if he's to fund a super weapon, if he quote unquote donates it, that's definitely going to give him some kudo points. People are kind of going to say, "Oh, well, he's a nice guy," and that's why I say quote unquote, because he might not actually be donating it for the better of humanity, but more for his
might
benefit.
Be donating it for that position.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you see, especially right now with Hudson not doing so well after he's trying to abolish
Hudson's
term
not having a
limits.
good day. No.
Yeah,
he's not having a couple. Hasn't been having good weeks at this point.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's been in turmoil the last 2 weeks, so that I can't remember the last time I've seen someone consecutively stay in turmoil. So
yeah, he's not doing great.
He's very much in debt with it, because it looks like he's at a 14% of his entire budget is how down he is, which is
that's real bad.
Yeah. And with numbers like that, and Felicia Winters has never really been. She's always been there, but she's never really been kind of a forerunner in the presidential election. Not since the last election, I would say. Once she lost that one, it kind of died down. So and a lot of people are pushing to have Zachary Rackham, come up as an independent candidate, and he's not making super committed statements to trying to run, but he's also not making any denials of trying to run. He seems to be walking that line like he's not quite ready to announce he's running yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what a better way to announce if he was funding a super weapon that was like, hey, I'm actually the reason not only that, we have so much prosperity in this couple systems, but also, I'm helping destroy the Thargoids.
Yeah, and look at me, I'm a good person. Maybe, maybe vote for me. It's kind of one of those,
Yeah.
Showing, not that he is Salvation. I'm just saying it'd be interesting.
Oh, that would be very interesting if he was Salvation. I mean...
Oh, that would be crazy.
He's definitely not the only, major power dealing with issues, though. You guys hear about Archon Delane?
Yeah, he's in a bit of a situation as well. Seems like the pirates are in like an open revolt against him, right?
Right, that's an
The question
oxymoron.
is, do we call it a rebellion or do we call it a mutiny at this point?
That's a good point. Yeah, it should.
I'm not sure. I think
It's like, oh no, I run a bunch of anarchy systems, and people are coming to fight me now. Like,
Yeah.
who's surprised? Not really me. I mean,
Whoa.
he got several people have attempted to assassinate him. You know? And I'm wondering, if that's, is that technically illegal? I don't think so.
I mean, yeah, exactly. It's like where does the line kind of get drawn there?
And I honestly, I know recently where they had, I know Series Corp posted a event where it was a bunch of Imperial, Federal, Empire, everyone kind of just showed up, Alliance too, and it was just like a get together almost, just to kind of discuss things. They ended up hosting it. And I remember that he was having a lot, he wanted to show up, but people were kind of skeptical of him because, he's a pirate.
Obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think that's...
let's be realistic.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the powers being invited, people are going to expect, the Federation and the Empire and the Alliance now. Alliance is more of a recent addition. It was mostly anytime you had a big event that required that kind of participation, you expected Empire and Federation to show up and talk things out. And because the Alliance has been so powerful, especially after the Thargoid incursion, they've been more of a forerunner now. It's like, okay, now it's Alliance, Empire, and Federation. It's not just...
I almost feel like
Federation
Sirius Corp is almost trying to kind of pull that because, like I said, they keep wanting to play with the big dogs. They want to play with the big
Sirius
three.
Corp, I don't think they're trying to pull that. I think they're trying to court customers.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
If you go, even if you want to buy an Imperial naval ship, you don't go to Empire Space to do it. You find one somewhere in Liang Rui's space because it just sells it for cheaper. Because it's, and he's just trying to court customers. But, so that's where the interest lies. And then you've got your other powers. You've got some... Again, let's be realistic here. No one really takes them super seriously. They've all got their niche, and they all represent a certain amount of people, a large enough amount of people to have some influence on the galactic sphere of things. But you've got a smuggler, a pirate, and a guy who's kind of obsessed with, utopia, which isn't really a thing.
I was going to say, no one would get mad not inviting Antal to these. You know what I mean?
Antal wouldn't even get mad.
Like he understands.
But back to what I was saying, I think maybe that he's kind of looking to kind of get more into politics and get out of the pirate life. I wouldn't be surprised.
Archon?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
He wanted to be
that dude's all over the place.
Yeah,
he's been very anti-politic his whole life.
I know, but that doesn't mean he can't change his mind. I think maybe he's kind of getting tired of the pirate life of, all this chaos, and people are not with him on that, but he's kind of just done with it. He's done with that chapter in his life, and maybe he wants to move on to something more impactful with politics, and I wouldn't be surprised if he were to try and, become more of a more prominent figure in the public eye, and I think that might be part of the reason there is a rebellion going on, or mutiny, or whatever we're calling it.
Well, they're pirates. What is the dude, 60 now? I mean, pirates don't usually live that long anyway.
Right. I was going to say, he's really in a situation of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because if he's trying to become more political, that's obviously, against what the pirates want. That is their whole point. They want anarchy. They want to thrive off of their own sort of free will and law and whatever pirate code they got, whatever, right? But then, of course, if he's kind of trying to become an actual politician, none of the politicians are going to take him seriously because he was a pirate for like the past, 60 years or whatever. So,
and I mean, but what if he out of nowhere just kind of supported like the Thargoids, or not Thargoids, but the Thargoid combat? I mean, they would be a little more welcoming of him, especially if he kind of took away his evil ways and kind of just changed. I mean, let's be honest, he's not that nice of a guy.
I mean, he's a pirate. He's not great. There's only so much you can do. But again, the other thing is, I mean, maybe we're just looking at the turning of powers at this point. I mean, Archon
that could be
got his power by killing the last pirate lord. That's how pirates kind of do their thing. Maybe they're kind of seeing that he's a little older now. He hasn't made a lot of pushes into new territory. He's kind of been chilling out. So they're like, okay, maybe it's time for a new pirate lord. I mean, Archon killed the last one when he was like 15 years old. He's been there for a while. Maybe they're ready for something new.
I mean, he's run for a while, but he's definitely coming to the end of his pirating days. What he decides to do after that, if he decides to try and continue it, and probably will end up dying a pirate, we'll see.
And you want to talk about him not being taken seriously by other powers. I mean, he tried to make a push on Imperial territory before. They just kind of sneezed on him and he left.
Yeah.
He's tried to make pushes on to serious, summits and stuff like that, and they just kind of said sure, but then he doesn't really do anything. He's tried to get that many times, but no one's going to take it seriously because it doesn't really matter.
While I do see that, I do think that part of being recognized as something is just showing up. I mean, you're not going to get recognition if you never show up to anything, but if you show up to something, people are going to notice you more. And I think that's what he's at least trying to do, show up more in politics and kind of, let people know that he still exists and isn't dead, and kind of, that his ways may be different. I don't know. I just, that might just be me being optimistic and thinking that he's like changing for the better. I could be totally wrong and he's just old and dying.
I don't know if he's old, but it's just pirates don't really live long. And even if he is bidding, he's been bidding for legitimacy for a couple of years now. He's been trying to make it, a recognized nation, as it were. Maybe the other pirates don't really want that. I mean, if you become a recognized nation, then you have to have some sort of structure and laws, right. and now all of a sudden they're not anarchy systems anymore.
Exactly.
And the whole idea behind how the Kumo crew, became big was because like, wow, here's a guy with a lot of power. We can do whatever the fuck we want. Right. But now you can't.
They would be becoming what they're trying to rebel against,
right?
Or get away from.
A new pirate. Maybe I'll make a new pirate faction.
Yeah. We could start our own pirate faction.
We could start our own pirate faction.
Maybe we should go over there and take over from Delane.
We can go kill Archon Delane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could run the Kumo. I think just kick him out, hop in. We're like, hey guys,
we could take him.
I think we could. 3v1? Yeah.
Exactly.
My fighting skills. It's more like a 2v1.
Going back a little bit though, how, respectively, you're mostly involved in Alliance stuff. How does the Alliance kind of looking at the whole, salvation thing?
They not too certain really. I mean, they're kind of vague on what they put out there. Main thing that they really wanted to put out is that this is a super weapon. Keyword weapon. We need to be careful with it. We can't rely on it, because as soon as we rely on it and they find some way around it, they, as in the Thargoids, we're going to be screwed. And now that we've, kicked at the Hive, definitely not going to be friendly with us. And I think that they're also concerned that you could easily tweak this, turn a few knobs, and all of a sudden you have something that is not going to affect Thargoids, but it's going to affect humans and us. And all of a sudden you have someone with a super weapon that is over here just destroying systems because they can. And I think that's
true. I mean, what would have to be done to it to all of a sudden make it a weapon against, we're going to drop this in a Federation system and fire it and see what happens.
Exactly.
No, we're going to drop this in an Imperial system and fire it and see what happens.
Right.
Exactly. Like, we get the basics of how it works, but we don't get the fine details on how this weapon actually works, because Salvation is a very closed off person, and I think that's a little concerning that if this falls into the wrong hands, this could be a huge, huge issue. And that's just something that I think that they're more concerned about, is making sure this doesn't fall into the wrong hands, and hopefully it's not in the wrong hands already.
I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm still pretty suspicious of the Salvation guy,
Yeah. However, who isn't?
Who isn't?
Well, I don't want to speak for the entire Federation, but Admiral Maxton Price, in his interview we have from Vox Galactica, wholeheartedly trusts this super weapon, which I don't agree with, but in typical Federation fashion, I mean, just absolutely, let's destroy the Thargoids. Whatever about the side effects of the weapon or what else. We need to bring the Thargoids to justice, kind of a thing.
I don't know if we should really trust the Federation just by seeing how they're going right now. I mean,
absolutely not. No,
they seem to be going downhill.
It's kind of interesting looking at some of those interviews, because you've got a little bit of a mix of responses. You've got the Alliance talking about how they're fairly upset at the decision to get rid of Aegis, and they really wish it hadn't been done, thought it was a poor decision, and they're not very trusting of the super weapon, and not really trusting of Sirius Corp right now either. And then you've got the Empire, who's like, okay, it kind of sucks that Aegis, that went down, and that Alexandria was destroyed and all this kind of stuff happened, but we need to get rid of these Thargoids. There's too many people dying and too much things going on, so let's focus on that and then figure out what to do about everything else, and Salvation is helping, so let's go ahead and try to do that. And then there's the Federation, who's just like, yeah, Aegis sucked, let's
blow it up.
Let's blow them all
up. Fire everything.
Whoever has the biggest gun, we want them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Whoever is the loudest wins. So
yeah,
yeah, and I think
it's very Federation style.
Yeah, just biggest gun.
Oh yeah.
But I know you mentioned something about the distrust of Sirius Corp. I do see that from the Alliances, at least. They somewhat trust Sirius, I guess.
I'll take a moment to interrupt you there. Yeah. I'm looking directly at that interview. He specifically says, I have no doubt that Sirius Corp would improve the strength of the ADF in the long term, but let's not pretend that Mr. Yongrui's interest in Alliance is altruistic. He'll want something in return soon enough, I expect.
Yes, and I know.
They're already talking about, and he mentioned that they think Sirius went about stuff very poorly.
Yeah, and
they are literally smack talking Sirius in there.
Yeah, and that's one thing that, I think they almost want Sirius Corp to help out, but they don't, because they have the money, they have the people, they have the power to help out.
They have a price.
They also have a price, and they don't want to pay that. And I think that kind of shows something, a new side of the Alliance has been kind of, I don't know, they're putting a price tag on safety, which I don't know how people feel about that. I don't like that, but if you value lives in dollar bills, I mean, that's your credence. You do you. Agree to disagree in lifestyles, but I think that that they're not trusting Sirius Corp could end up jeopardizing their position where they are, because Sirius Corp, again, it's one of those, it's a big company, it's a big group, and they have the power to help out. But at the same time, if you're going to talk about them like that, why would they help out? Why are they going to help someone who doesn't care for them, who doesn't trust them? So I think that's saying that
for money.
Yeah, that's really the only way they would, honestly. It was for them if the price was right in that case.
It's only going to help in any case. It's
like
yeah. Any corporation, they're not in it for your health. They're not in it for your safety. If saying that they care about your health and safety helps them make more money, then they're going to do that to make more money. But that's not why they're there.
Yeah. I mean, because, when it comes down to it, really, if we were in the situation where, it was absolutely dire, I feel like they would have to step in just because, I mean, you can't sell something yourself, you need people to sell things to. But we aren't in that situation. So, therefore, they're still going to charge top dollar for whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there comes a point, though, when it's like a little bit of a good... it's a good sales tactic to be like, oh, they're the people who helped us with this. Of course, it's going to be like, they're going to be on the lookout for us. But then you can just be like, oh, yeah, but we charge $10 more than everybody else, but we're helpful.
Yeah, and it's one of those, you go, well, I mean, sure, I'll spend the extra money because they were nice and all that. And, it's a good sales tactic. I do have to say, he's playing his cards right, if that's what he's looking for. But...
well, he's got the largest corporation in existence, so...
Yeah, he is playing his cards pretty well anyways.
I would hope so, because if not, I would have a lot of questions.
At that point, the cards start to pay themselves, too.
But, I don't know, it's if it is just a tactic for him to gain money, it is. I mean, more power to him, I guess. It's your choice, as long as you help in the long run. But I do kind of a little bit agree with the Alliance that maybe we should kind of, be a little skeptical of who we trust. I mean, like you mentioned earlier,
for sure,
you have to be careful with who you trust and everything. And while I am a huge, serious, supporter, I love them, I do know that they have their faults, and to not address them would be just improper. So I think that the way that the Alliance kind of handled it was almost a little sloppy, just because they just talked bad about them and pretty much said, yeah, they could be good, but... And then just kind of said that they were not nice.
Diplomatically about them. I mean, Sirius knows what they know what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of stuff develops, though.
Mm-hmm.
How this salvation situation develops, because that is already something I don't trust a lot more than I wouldn't trust Sirius Corp at this point. This is one guy who's got a lot of talk, and yes, he's giving everybody something they want right now. It's like you said earlier, congruent. It's like a couple buttons and boom, all of a sudden we're no longer being helped, we're hostages. And that's not something anybody wants, because what happens after the Thargoids, right?
Yeah, because end of the day, we are just a war-based society. As soon as the Thargoids are gone, we're going to go back to killing each other. So
which kind of sucks,
It does. It definitely does, which is kind of...
That's the one thing I agree with Pranav all about, is maybe, Utopia is a little weird to get, but, he's really into the peace stuff.
Yeah,
but he's got that going for him. I'll give him that.
He has other views and stuff that just, I don't like. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. The dude kind of looks creepy too. Let's be honest.
There's a lot of creepy looking people out there, but
I don't know.
He
tops it. He tops it for me. I don't like it, but his idea of a utopia. We all know that we all want a utopia, but no utopias.
Do we all want a utopia? I don't want a utopia.
The idea of a utopia. The idea of a utopia is just everything's perfect and everyone's okay.
Right, but everyone's ideas of perfect are different, and perfect can't be perfect without something to compare it against.
Exactly, right. And that's why I think, his ideas and stuff aren't the best.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice if everyone got along, but unfortunately, it's not always how it works in the real world.
It's not how it ever works. No one ever really gets along. There's always something to shoot. I mean, you give a hammer to someone, anything's a nail. They're going to just start using it. I mean, we have weapons. Why would we not use them? It's one of those, what do we just throw them away? Well, we're going to have a bunch of pirates show up.
Yeah. No, because they're busy trying to overthrow
they got other stuff they got to deal with.
They're occupied. maybe this is
once
our
Archon
chance.
Delane goes down, I mean, again, it's a pirate faction. Once Archon goes down, I feel like there'll be a lot of infighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a big mess, I think, to determine whoever going to be. Like, if Delane, steps down or gets assassinated or whatever, that's going to be a big mess to determine who's going to lead Kumo Crew.
I ran with Kumo Crew for a little while, doing some mercenary work, and, I mean,
Sinner.
They're very cutthroat. It's not like...
Yeah.
It's not like there's some order, behind who goes next. I mean, with Archon... he killed people to get to where he is, and someone's going to kill him, someone's going to kill them, and...
Watch Zachary Hudson
pirates
become the leader of them, because he is also just like, you're in my way, time to die.
Like some washed up old Fed.
Yeah. So we got, Zachary Hudson doesn't get his next election.
So he's just like, alright, I'm a pirate now.
He goes over to the Kumo Crew, kills Archon.
I think that would be amazing, and at the same time, horrible.
If that happens, I will, buy you lunch.
You already owe me lunch.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty low stakes.
I'll buy you two. I don't know.
I think a better option is, if that actually does happen, I think I will resign as a pilot for a few months.
Wow, yeah. See, that's a big one.
Give me all of your money. I understand.
I swear, if Zachary Hudson really hates me, he's gonna really try for this now. He's like, get out of here, I don't want you here.
That's actually going to be his goal. On that note, I do think if that comes true, it'll be insane.
That would, that's too much almost.
Are we going to be 2 for 2?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't promise too many things.
Yeah.
I think it is time to wrap it up, though.
Yeah.
So, everyone, thanks for listening. Enjoyed having you listening. This is Stephanie Atronach signing out.
This is Congruent Carib signing out.
And Commander Felix Jefferson signing out. Fly safe, Commander.
Oh, and before we leave, am I the only one that thinks Zachary Hudson and Zachary... whatever his name is. Why? What's with Zachary? Why do they have to all...
Right? Yeah, that's what I was wondering as well.
It's genuinely bothering me. That's going to be so confusing.